Everybody, it's your boy J Rock right here. Today I'm gonna be hitting you with a review slash overview of a book. We're gonna be doing an overview of She Hulk by Dan Slott, the omnibus. Now, there's been a lot of these overviews out there, so there's gonna be an overview, just getting through the stuff that you've seen in a million videos already. But then we'll get to the review, which is gonna be my opinions on the stories and art and so forth. And that's gonna be the important part because that's not gonna be the same as everybody's. We all have different opinions, or maybe it will be the same as everybody's. We'll see, but that's the part that differs because we all have different thoughts on as far as what we thought of the art, stories, and whatnot, right? Okay, so we're gonna get into that order, just like I said. I'll try not to give away spoilers or anything as far as the story, but there really isn't much. It's just a self-contained thing. It doesn't really connect with anything else, but it does a little bit. So we'll get to that as we go, and I'll try to leave those parts out. The cover, I'm loving the cover art. You know, this is not the art you're gonna get inside the interiors, unfortunately. Which I wish you would have. I'm really digging it. Not sure who this is. AG. If you guys know, let me know in the comment section if you know who that artist is. But these are the artists inside the interiors: Juan Bobillo, Rick Burchett, and Paul Pelletier. Writers Dan Slott. He writes the whole series. I'm digging also the font. This shit looks sick. It's like green, but you got a yellow outline, and it fades to yellow on the bottom as well, which I really enjoyed. I thought that looked real cool. Your typical Marvel Omnibus logo on the side. Fine, it has the same font and so forth, and they went with a purple color in the background. That's just badass. I really like the spine on this. There's nothing worse than when you find a book and it's just black background with white font. That's just so plain, so boring. Then you have 50 books of the same style in your shelf. This has a lot more personality to it. It really differentiates one book from the next, right? When they're on your shelf. Again, the artist here, the writer down here. This is the art Juan Bobillo. It's the first artist right here. He's kind of like the main artist. So most of the book, at least half of it, is gonna be this type of art. It wasn't my favorite. I did not enjoy it, but it did improve as the book went along. That art got better, which I'm thankful for because I really didn't like it in the beginning. We'll get to it as I show you some interiors. Here's the back. It says Law and Order MU. Not sure what that means. Marvel Universe, maybe? If you guys want to read this, just pause it right there. This is Greg Horn on this cover. This cover's sick too. Other covers on this are pretty good, but what's actually going on the covers are kind of plain. It's always just She Hulk most of the time. But it looks good though. It looks good. Here's the cover price: $100, and Canadian it's 125. Now here's the content in it. It's gonna be She Hulk 2004 1 through 12, and She Hulk 2005 1 through 21. So that's 33 issues right there, plus Marvel Western Two Gun Kid. So I guess it's 34 issues. Okay, now here's the inside. That's just pretty funny. Comic books this good ought to be illegal. So that's kind of the vibe you're gonna get when you're reading the book. It's kind of comedic. You're gonna get this type of writing. This is one of the artists from the interior art. A lot of people complain about this. Oh, the other artists suck. And I know here, yeah, She-Hulk is too overly muscular. Her head looks small, but you gotta read the book because she's not always drawn this way. Something happens that makes her stronger, and she gets bigger for a few issues. Then she goes back to normal. So you gotta go in there knowing that the art's not always gonna be like that. Here's some of the writing from the creators and so forth, the artists. As you could tell, here's another artist. Okay, now let's show the book. Okay, here's the cover without the dust jacket. Again, similar style type of art, very realistic. I'm pretty sure they got some actual models that look this way, and they just drew them and colored them green and whatnot. Maybe even photoshopped it. This is Mayhew. So the cover's alright, pretty plain, but it looks cool. It's like a avocado green in the background. I'm digging this cover. Now, what I don't like is this. The spine is just green. Should have at least typed the Marvel Omnibus logo here and the She-Hulk thing right here, right? The name of the book. In the back, it's just plain. Just felt so lazy and like no effort in it. Like they didn't even bother to at least throw a cover, one of the other covers on the back as well. That was kind of a no-no in my book. That kind of sucked. Cause mine got a dent right here. That's from Amazon. All right, so the inside it's like a nice lime bright green. I'm digging the that as far as that goes. See, here's another artist. We got a lot of artists in this book. This one's kind of cartoony, but I could get behind it. I was enjoying this. This art style is it brought some energy. Okay, now here we got the Buff Hulk again, and this is the She Hulk. I mean, and this is the people that helped make the book. And here's the table of content. What artist, what colorist, and so forth worked on what issues. I like this was all done in one page, so I like that. Usually they take 2 or 3 pages. Took one, then we get straight to the cover for the first issue. We get straight to the first issue. Immediately when I saw this, I saw the singing thing and that she's listening to music. This Jennifer Walters. So immediately when I saw that, I thought Deadpool, because Deadpool's always listening to music, right? That's how his books usually start. So that's immediately what I thought. And I know Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, and I heard she was the first one to do that back in the days. Like, so Deadpool basically copied her, from what I heard. Um, and I've never actually read any She-Hulk. I know who the character is and so forth, who Jennifer Walters is, but I don't know what's her thing, what's her personality, her story arcs, and whatnot, right? So I'm not familiar with that stuff. So this is basically kind of like my first introduction. And here's the art. It's kind of cartoony. I didn't mind it that much, but then when this guy draws She-Hulk, that's when it really turned me off. Cause when I see the way he draws She-Hulk, look at her huge biceps and little hands. He did stuff like that I don't know. I didn't like the way he drew that particular character, but he improved as the book went along. He started drawing a little bit different, made the hands a little bigger and the biceps a little smaller. Um, Now here, if you notice, these are all her accomplishments as She-Hulk, all her posters, and she only has one as Jennifer Walters. So that she just graduated from law school, so she's gonna be a lawyer now, I guess. And that was very interesting that Jennifer Walters, she prides herself on being She-Hulk. She kind of almost prefers She-Hulk, her superhero identity, over Jennifer Walters, her normal civilian identity, which is a nice twist because Hulk is the opposite. He hates his superhero persona of Hulk, and he prefers Bruce Banner. So here you do the opposite. She likes She-Hulk more. She likes to be She-Hulk all the time. It's empowering to her. Not only does she get stronger, but she gets sexier. She gets tall, long legs. All the guys are like, oh, she's supermodel looking. Basically turns into Tyra Banks, right? And as Jennifer Walters, she's short, regular, average woman size. Doesn't stand out as much. And her butt, her breast, everything gets bigger, and she stays thin. So she looks sexier, and everybody wants her more. So it's more empowering to her, not just, well, yeah, mainly physically because she looks better, but she also gets stronger. So she's not scared of people. She could beat people up and so forth. So I thought that I really like that. The show, it doesn't have to be a negative to be Hulk. It can be a positive. And it would have kind of sucked if she would have just been the same as Hulk, that she can't control her when she turns into Hulk and so forth. Then it would have just been the same thing, but with a woman. Here, yeah, she has the same power, but other than that, everything else is completely different. It's its own thing, which I really like. I'm not the biggest fan of Hulk to begin with, but this character, after reading this omnibus, which is 34 issues or whatever, I easily like her over him. I find him kind of plain and boring, always whining and so forth. This character was far superior. If you guys haven't read She-Hulk, you gotta give it a chance. If you're scared that it's gonna be like Hulk, there's nothing like Hulk. She's a completely different character. It's a different animal here, and it's a much better one in my opinion. So here, 2 pages in, and look, it already lays flat. You don't have to hold it to read it, the book, so that's good. Now here on this page, Jennifer Walters just had I think she had like a one night stand right here, and she turned back human when she fell asleep. So she wakes up right here, and she's like, oh no. So she tries to Hulk back up because she feels more empowered when she's, She-Hulk. So she kind of, she's a party girl. She's out partying, drinking all the time, sleeping around, and she treats guys like a piece of meat, basically. And she can because she's stronger than them. So if they have a problem with it, they're fucked. So yeah, that's her right there. See, here the art doesn't look bad, but then in some pages they draw her way too big, and then in some pages they draw her kind of normal. Like right here, she looks okay. But then there's other pages where she's all disproportionate. See, like here, look at how big the hands are right here. Look at the hands right there. It gets annoying sometimes. Now here she's sent to babysit her boss's kid. Is his granddaughter. She's a supervillain. So now they're arguing, and look at what the granddaughter tells Jennifer Walters. She goes, I like to share a bathroom with someone who doesn't leave the lid up all the time. And Jennifer Walters says, what's that supposed to mean? So she's implying she pees standing up, right? So I thought that was pretty funny. She tells her, come on, the deep voice, the muscles, it's obvious. So see, this book doesn't take itself too serious. And if you're easily offended, you're not going to like this book. Because there is some little bit of sexism, sometimes some sexist jokes in there. And maybe they poke fun of things you might be sensitive to, things you might not like hearing, depending on the person. I found it, I don't take comics too serious. So I found it pretty funny. I found it entertaining. See here, like this guy's supposed to be a hotshot lawyer, very, scary. People are scared of him because he wins every case. Look at the way he's drawn. He's drawn very friendly and nice. He should have been drawn a little different. See, that's the thing about this artist. Like I said, I don't like certain things about his art. Like this guy should have looked more intimidating, considering he's a badass lawyer. Make him more Johnny Cochran looking, give him that vibe. Another case where they're in court, and the person in court now is She Hulk. Like, is she really a superhero, or is she a menace? Does she make things worse or better, And they interviewed this guy, some supervillain I never heard of. And it's funny because he has a head of a pig, and he's defending She Hulk. And he's talking about how one time she was going out into space to save the day or whatever. And she's here fighting the rockets and whatnot. He says she got hit by some rockets, her clothes came off. And once her clothes came off, she showed, he says it right here in his words, like, she showed her amazing tits, right? So then they show the picture right here. And they go, her amazing tits saved the day, because the villains were so distracted. They turned around to see these alien rays. They were so distracted, they turned around to drool over them that they crashed and all died. And she saved the day, right? So here's Sting and everybody laughing, and She-Hulk's so embarrassed, like, ah. Right, so this book, needless to say, I had to be laughing out loud more than once, more than twice, quite a few times. It was very entertaining. It was quite like, it was something like I haven't read in a Marvel book before. I know there's some comedic ones out there, like Deadpool. I tend to skip those. I don't like reading that stuff a lot. Especially the Deadpool. Usually the ones I read, I didn't find them that funny. But this was good. This had me rolling. And like I said, this is you have to have an acquired taste. It's not gonna be for everybody, but probably to no one's surprise that follows the channel, this is up my alley. I like sense of humor. I like a lot of different types of comedy, like Big Trouble in Little China or Army of Darkness and so forth. But yeah, this was good, and it does touch a lot on continuity. It shows you what happened with her during the Civil War and during the another event here, but it touches on other repercussions, like the new warriors. They're getting mistreated because of what happened in Civil War. They made this big mistake. We're mostly all familiar with it. So here it shows another side to that, how people were creating websites, hate websites towards the warriors, right? And they go to court, and Jennifer Walters is trying to find out who did this website and how that's illegal and so forth. And people are fighting how, no, it's freedom of speech. They should be allowed to make a website gathering people to just hate on the warriors and stuff, as long as it doesn't get violent. But when they do that and they're talking about places to meet up and so forth, it's gonna get violent. So it touches on that stuff, questions we should ask ourselves. It doesn't give you a correct, right or wrong answer, but it does put out there the importance that these questions should be asked. Like the conversation should come up. Is it right? Is freedom of speech more important than potential future violence and so forth? Again, it touches on some important topics, but it doesn't take them too serious while it's doing them in the book. But like, so it's like it's a mixed bag in that way. Because sometimes you might be like, oh, I wish it was more serious in that topic or whatnot. But all in all, I said, I highly enjoyed it. I was really happy with this one. I don't think it's something I'll reread because not much of my books, I don't reread much of my books, but it's something I had a fun time reading. I read through it like in 2, 3 days, which usually an omnibus takes me like 3 weeks, a month to read. I did this in 2, 3 days because I was really hooked on it. Shows I was focused and paying attention. Not and here are the artists clockwise. Oh no, that's the villain right here. It's the artist Paul Pelletier. This one is Paul Smith. Oh, Paul Smith, the old X-Men artist. Some more sketches. Oh, this was pretty cool. There wasn't much in the way of extras. This artist is good. It's Mayhew. He's the one that does the cover art and the dust jacket, and I believe on the cover of the book. This is raw pencils. He has a nice art style. I'm not familiar with him, but I enjoy what I saw right here. These are just his raw pencils, no inks, no nothing. Look at that. Solid artist, man. Solid artist. Not much in the way of extras, kind of a blah. But the book itself it's a good one. So what to expect here is basically a realistic take on the Marvel Universe. Like, what would happen if superheroes existed in the real world? They gotta go to court if they abuse of somebody because they're gonna live by the same laws cops live by here in the real world. If a villain feels you got a little too rough with him after he was cuffed up, it's gonna take you to court. You gotta deal with that shit as an Avenger, as a whatever, right? X-Men never came up, just Avengers. Whatever, like some of the superheroes, maybe they think they're privileged and they could touch girls without permission. Those cases come up here. It's grounded in reality, especially since Jennifer Walter is a lawyer, so she handles all these superhero cases for these type of events. Sometimes they're false claims, and sometimes there's some legitimacy to them, where sometimes a villain is kind of telling the truth and the superhero maybe went a little too far, right? So yeah, expect that kind of stuff here. Expect some comedy, expect some good times, and that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you got something out of this. It helped you make your decision if you want to read it or if you don't. Hopefully this helps sway you one way or the other. Other than that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you could on your feed or let you know when my next video's up. And I'll just check you guys out next time.